That's the point. You can watch and make up your own mind as to what it appears Brittany Griner is saying. It's not certain what Griner says. There is one way to find out. Ask Brittany Griner. However, no one has done that except for Outkick. It's been over 2 weeks since Griner said this. Instead, the WNBA was investigating a bogus race hoax made up by Angel Reese about
Riley Gaines just dropped a bombshell on Brittany Griner and the entire WNBA establishment after Griner's controversial comments about Caitlin Clark were quietly swept under the rug. The former Olympic swimmer said what many were thinking. She didn't hold back, and now the league is scrambling to control the fallout. Do you think Riley was right to call out both Brittany Griner and the WNBA's apparent double standards? Or should she have stayed out of basketball drama?
Never seen an organization more committed to self-imploding than the WNBA. A few weeks ago, I made this video highlighting how it appears Brittany Griner said bleep white girl after fouling out in a game against Indiana Fever, the team that Caitlin Clark plays for. Some people like Jamel Hill, former ESPN host, says that no, she didn't say bleep white girl. She says bleep whack call, to which she then went on to call me a grifter for even pointing this out, but besides the point. You can watch and make up your own mind as to what
The WNBA has never seen an organization more committed to self-implosion than itself. A few weeks ago, a video surfaced that many believe shows Brittany Griner making inflammatory remarks about Caitlin Clark after fouling out of a game against the Indiana Fever. While some apologists claimed Griner was referring to the referee's call, the timing and body language suggest otherwise. Riley Gaines wasn't about to let this slide. As mainstream sports media scrambled to spin the story, Gaines stepped up and delivered a reality check that has the entire league shaking. What makes this situation so explosive is that Gaines is speaking from a position of moral authority that's hard to dismiss.
Tonight, Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittany Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittany Griner is saying here. For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittany Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm going to tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling Caitlin Clark a bleep white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white. It's because she's a good player. It's because she's the best player. Now, imagine if Caitlin Clark said the inverse of this. It would be reprehensible, condemned, and understandably so. You've got all of these individual players. You have sports commentators, people like Ryan Clark, who constantly tout of the racial tensions that exist in the league, when in reality, they are the ones perpetuating and amplifying these racial tensions with their anti-white hatred.
Riley Gaines has firsthand experience with unfair treatment in sports. She's the swimmer who had to compete against biological males in women's events, and had the guts to speak out when others stayed silent. She's been attacked by mainstream sports media just for defending women's sports and fairness. So when the WNBA protected certain players while ignoring real controversies, she immediately saw the double standard. A video surfaced showing what many believe is Brittany Griner making inflammatory remarks about Caitlin Clark after fouling out, and while some tried to claim she was talking about the refs, the timing and body language said otherwise. Gaines didn't stay quiet. She took to social media and torched Griner with precision. She pointed out the absurdity of the situation. The U.S. literally traded a dangerous arms dealer, Victor Bout, nicknamed the Merchant of Death, to bring Griner home from Russia, and now Griner turns around and throws shade at another American athlete. Gaines made it clear. If the roles were reversed and Clark had said something similar about Griner, the media would explode. Sponsors would drop her, and the WNBA would likely suspend her. But because it's Griner, everyone suddenly wants to pretend they can't tell what she said.
Graduation, this girl has to be one of the most miserable people in the history of this country. All she does is get on social media and just make shit up to try to cause division. Earlier today, she posted this video, and I just watch the video, because it's nothing but bullshit and her trying to cause a divide because her life is miserable. So as you can see in the tweet, Riley Gaines wants to speculate that Brittany Griner called Caitlin Clark trash and then said, fucking white girls. Now here's something to think about. When you're trying to lip read and someone tells you what they think someone said, that's all you can envision them saying. So when you're watching that, it looks like she says fucking white girls. But what if you thought she said fucking whack calls? Look at her.
The double standard is so obvious that even casual observers are starting to notice. What's particularly brilliant about Gaines's approach is how she's tied this incident to the broader issues plaguing the WNBA. She's not just calling out one player for one comment. She's exposing a whole organizational culture that prioritizes protecting certain narratives over fairness, consistency, and accountability.
Griner says there is one way to find out. Ask Brittany Griner. However, no one has done that except for Outkick. It's been over 2 weeks since Griner said this. Instead, the WNBA was investigating a bogus race hoax made up by Angel Reese about Indiana Fever fans. And I say bogus because they found no evidence that supports Angel Reese's claims. So we at Outkick applied for media credentials to cover Brittany Griner's team, the Atlanta Dreams, game on June 6th. To which, shocker, they denied us. We've never had trouble getting media credentials with any professional sports league in the past, but wouldn't you know, now they suddenly have very limited space, which is total baloney. They just want to suppress any sort of uncomfortable inquiries from media. Regardless, we at Outkick are going to keep asking the tough questions, the questions that people want the answer to. And if you do call yourself a reporter or a journalist from an outlet like ESPN or any other sports outlet for that matter, and you have access to these settings and you're not asking those questions, you're really no reporter or journalist at all, at least not.
When the media outlet Outkick tried to get credentials to ask Griner directly about the comments, the WNBA denied their request, and that's when Riley Gaines really let them have it. She pointed out that Outkick was the only outlet actually trying to get answers from Griner, while the rest of the sports media remained content to speculate, spin, or make excuses. The moment someone tried to uncover the truth, the WNBA blocked access. Denying media credentials to a legitimate outlet for asking fair, relevant questions is absolutely damning for the league's credibility. This is supposed to be a professional sports league that thrives on media coverage and fan engagement, yet when journalists try to do their jobs and ask basic questions, they get shut out. Gaines nailed the hypocrisy. The WNBA had no problem launching an investigation into phantom claims against Caitlin Clark's fans, claims that turned out to be completely false. They issued statements, opened inquiries, and acted like they were protecting the game's integrity. But when there's actual video evidence of one of their own players possibly making inflammatory comments about their biggest rising star, suddenly they're too busy to care.
I ain't never seen this lady a day in my life. Why'd y'all hire this woman?
The USA basketball chair actually said it would be irresponsible to put Caitlin Clark on the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team, all while putting Brittany Griner on the team. I think with the extreme controversy that she brings.
Let me jump in, Riley, because you say it a lot there. I'm not sure what you mean by the controversy that Brittany Griner brings to the game. I mean, that's kind of not fair to say without explanation.
Well, I mean, I think given everything that happened overseas, given that she was put in jail, I mean, the controversy is certainly there, whether we want it there or not. Despite
not
the
her
fact
fault
that she's
and
an
wrongly
amazing player.
accused. Let's be fair. That's Riley. I like you a lot too. That's not right. She was wrongfully accused. That is not fair to bring that up. So we're gonna delete that. Okay, let's you and I continue.
She literally tried to tell Riley Gaines that Brittany Griner was unlawfully detained. What are you saying? Fox, get this lady out.
Speaking to Fox News, Riley Gaines absolutely torched the WNBA's credibility with one devastating line. I've never seen an organization more committed to self-imploding than the WNBA. She laid out exactly why the league's actions are not just hypocritical, but deeply damaging. Her timing couldn't have been better. It came right after the league wasted time investigating completely false claims against Caitlin Clark's fans while ignoring video evidence of Brittany Griner's controversial comments. When the outlet Outkick requested media credentials to ask Griner directly, the WNBA denied them, and Gaines called out the league for blocking access instead of seeking the truth. She highlighted how ESPN's J.A. Adande and others tried to spin what Griner said, despite the video being plain as day. Gaines's response was simple: let people watch and decide for themselves. The fact that legacy media is trying to reinterpret obvious audio and video proves how desperate they are to protect certain narratives. What's even more ridiculous is how easy it would be for the WNBA to handle this properly. Apply the same standards to everyone. Investigate real controversies, not fake ones. Give media access to all legitimate outlets, not just the ones that play along. Instead, the league doubled down on its hypocrisy and exposed itself. Gaines connected the dots, showing how this isn't just about one incident. It's part of a pattern where the WNBA appeases players who resent Clark's success, instead of supporting the star who's brought them more attention, ticket sales, and fans than anyone in decades. Gaines, who's experienced firsthand how institutions betray their own athletes in the name of narrative control, recognized the signs instantly. The denial of media access, the lopsided investigations, the silence from leadership, it's all part of a system more interested in protecting feelings than promoting the sport. Gaines didn't just call it out. She exposed the rot. And she did what the mainstream sports media wouldn't. She told the truth. Now, with the spotlight on the WNBA's dysfunction, the league is left with a choice: reform and act like a professional organization, or keep imploding in front of the world. Given their track record, they'll likely choose the latter. But thanks to Riley Gaines, the public won't be fooled. She's forced everyone to see what's really going on. A once-in-a-generation opportunity being wasted, not because of lack of talent, but because of leadership more focused on controlling narratives than building a future. And for that, Gaines deserves credit not just for defending Caitlin Clark, but for defending the principle of fairness in sports. What's your take on this explosive situation? Drop a comment below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more truth bombs.